Hi everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Govlab info session. It's really good to see everyone. Happy New Year. We're just going to take some time and just wait for a few people to join us. In the meantime, feel free to introduce yourself. So you can put your name and what you do in the comment section so that we know who you are. So you can put your first name and what you do in the comment section so that everybody gets to meet everybody that way. So we'll just give another 2 minutes for more people to join us and then we'll get started. All right, so while we're waiting, we'd like to ask all our panelists to please rename themselves. So if you go on the three dots by your profile, you can rename yourself. You can use the one like my name and the organization I work for as an example. So your full name and the organization you work for, that way we can easily spot you. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Looking good, everyone. Good to see all our panelists join us. So we are going to go ahead and get started. My plan is that we're done at exactly 1 p.m. and no later than that. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Adeza Shikon, and I am the Director of Design and Strategy at Ventures Platform. Ventures Platform Foundation is a nonprofit arm of Ventures Platform, and our vision is to build economic prosperity in Africa. For us, economic prosperity means more people having earning power, more people having jobs, and they're able to afford and access basic quality services like better and quality education, better healthcare, better food, better water, access to technology, access to services that will improve the standard of living of everyone. And we seek to achieve this by supporting entrepreneurs and innovators to develop innovative, sustainable, and scalable solutions to complex problems on the continent. So far, we've worked with different partners in corporate, government, and in the development space, and we're really excited about collaborating with the National Endowment for Democracy on this project to find, nurture, and support innovators who can develop sustainable, innovative, and scalable solutions to improve effective accountability, transparency in public service delivery, especially during emergencies. The theme for this session is innovating for accountability, transparency, and effective public service delivery during emergencies. So key questions that we want to ask is, how do we ensure everyone has access to public service and no one is excluded? How do we ensure we strengthen accountability and transparency mechanisms to ensure effective public service delivery in Nigeria? So the main objective of this session is to provide as much relevant, useful, and practical information that will help applicants in the room think deeply and thoroughly about the solutions they would like to submit in their applications. And what we would like to achieve primarily today is to, first of all, present our findings from the needs assessment report that highlights key challenges with public service delivery during emergencies, and also share some innovative ways as suggestions or inspires you to think deeply about your solutions as you seek to tackle these challenges. We would like to also listen to some of the experts in the room share their thoughts on the needs assessment report that we'll be presenting today. And then we'll open the floor up to everyone to ask questions regarding the application and also regarding some of the findings that we've shared from the report. So this session is really important. In simple terms, it's important for everyone to have understanding, especially the applicants. So you can develop solutions that are feasible, that are viable, and that can be used and that can be scaled, of course, in the country. So like I said, we plan to be done by 1 p.m. We're expecting some really important guests today, and I'm just going to introduce them. I don't know if they're here, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. First is the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Mrs. Sadia Umar Farouk, ably represented by her Special Advisor on Administration, Mr. Kingsley Ngene. You're welcome, sir. Also, we have Mr. Christian Fremeya from the Policy Vote. We have Mr. Shamsuddin Yusuf, the Center for Democracy and Development. We have Mr. Oluwadare Kolawole from Serap, Nigeria. We have Mr. Oluwaseun Onigbinde from Budget, and Mr. Joshua Olufemi from Data Fight. You are all welcome. Also, I welcome everyone also present from other CSOs and NGOs represented in the room, from government, and also potential applicants. You're welcome to this info session. So let's get started. I would like to first of all welcome our representative from NED, Christopher O'Connor. It's like 5 a.m. in the States, so obviously he's not able to join us, but he did send a video, so we're going to play that video now.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christopher O'Connor, Senior Program Officer for West Africa at the National Endowment for Democracy, a private nonprofit foundation dedicated to the growth and strengthening of democratic institutions around the world. For decades, the endowment has supported civil society organizations in Nigeria as they work to strengthen the country's democracy and improve its governance. As the COVID-19 pandemic swept the world, the Ventures Platform Foundation came to the National Endowment for Democracy, highlighting the governance challenges that were emerging because of the pandemic. Ventures Platform Foundation emphasized the need for government transparency and accountability in the delivery of public services, and the need for government to respect human rights within the context of its response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We were impressed with the organization and its innovative proposal to address these concerns. To tap into Nigeria's growing innovation and activist community, to develop citizen-centric initiatives to improve government's policies and actions to address the crisis. Specifically, Ventures Platform Foundation proposed to launch an innovation challenge to solicit ideas for improved government responses, identifying the best candidates, and mentoring and guiding the winners in implementing their programs. As a result of this proposal, NED decided to award Ventures Platform Foundation with a grant. Because of VP's vision, we're all here today. From all of us at the endowment, we wish you luck as you design, share, and implement your proposed avenues for collaboratively working with civil society, government officials, businesses, and your communities to improve accountability and transparency in public service delivery, to advance human rights, and to strengthen the rule of law in the context of COVID-19.
We're going to call on the programs director for at Ventures Platform Foundation to shed more light about the program, the application modalities, and everything that you need to know about benefits of attending or participating in this program. Mo, you have the floor now.
Okay. Hello everyone, welcome. NED, they wanted to provide a solution, wanted to help out with issues that were created by the pandemic. You know, a lot of people, well, everyone, was affected in different ways, but we all saw the stories about the palliatives that didn't get to destination, and there were other issues as well. So Ventures Platform proposed a solution, right? A program to help people actually develop solutions, ideas, think innovatively to actually solve some of this, to provide government and other institutions, organizations with better ways of actually solving these issues. So great. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the program, and then also talk about right. So the Govlab Program is a 3-month program designed to seek and support innovative civil society organizations in solving the prevailing issues of government accountability and transparency, as well as promote human rights in the face of COVID-19 pandemic. During this program, we have a call for application phase, which is actually going on right now. It's happening from January 6th to February 6th, 2021. So I hope we have a good number of applicants that are actually here, right? Or people who are interested in applying. This is a great way of really understanding the underlying problems and seeing now where you can come in and actually do something about it. So this call for applications is for CSOs. We're not looking for startups. Ventures Platform is known for working with startups, right? But the innovative way we work with startups can be applied to CSOs, NGOs, nonprofits, church organizations, if you're out there, if you think that you can actually do something right, and really this is an opportunity for you, and you have until February 6th to actually apply, okay? So please listen to everything that's being said here. You know, right? Team up, form partnerships with friends, families, and provide solutions. Apply and provide solutions. Now, once the call for application is done, then behind the scenes we'll be working on the selection phase, right? First of all, just going through the applications, and then after that, we're going to have 20 teams will be selected for the build phase. The build phase goes from February 15th to February 19th. Okay. So during this phase, right, startups will have the opportunity to actually meet up with some of these organizations, government, and actually get more insight into what the problems are, and then they will have the opportunity to actually build something, a quick prototype, right, to help show what they can do. From then on, now we'll select the best ones. I think it's 5 teams, 5 CSOs that will go into the virtual incubation program. We usually have incubation programs that are physical, but we're in the COVID pandemic, right? Yes, vaccines are out, but we don't know when we're getting vaccines. And even the vaccines are not 100% safe. So the program is going to be 100% virtual. Okay? So the virtual program will run from March 1st to June 1st, 2021, and end in a demo day on June 1st, 2021. The demo day is an opportunity for everyone, the whole community, to come together and see what these CSOs have built, right? And then that's the opportunity for our partners in government, our NGOs, institutions to actually adopt these solutions, okay? So now I think the next phase, the next slide should be presenting the report. All right, so now I'm going to call on one of our partners in this program, Cabal. They are a leading tech blog, right? They like, if you need to be up to date on technology, on tech in Africa and Nigeria, they have one of the most followed newsletters also. So Landry from Cabal is going to present the work that they've done, the report that's identified the key areas of focus, the needs. Okay. Hello, Landry.
Thank you. So hi everyone, my name is Olaran Waju and I'm with Tech Cabal. I'm the lead analyst at Tech Cabal, a publication about the human and business impact of technology in Africa. Okay. I lead TC Insight, which is Tech Cabal's data research and consulting. So like Mo said, we've partnered with Ventures Platform to conduct some research about transparency and accountability in Nigeria's public sector, okay, as well as how to improve transparency and accountability. I'm going to start my presentation with 2 shocking data points, and I'll just like you to follow me. So on September 28th, 2020, the ICPC announced that about $7 million that was meant for federal government colleges were diverted into private accounts. This money was actually disbursed during the coronavirus lockdown. So just keep that in mind. That's one of the scenarios. The other one, according to a UN report, about $4.7 billion is spent on bribes in Nigeria every year. Law enforcement officers are the most common recipients of these bribes. I mean, many of us would have probably, experienced one of those, followed by vehicle and driving licensing officers. So the question is, how does corruption thrive? And the key thing is that where there's poor transparency and accountability, corruption will definitely thrive. And I think this quote by Kofi Annan is, very interesting and sort of captures like the spirit of the research of the program. And it says, if corruption is a disease, transparency is an essential part of its treatment. And it's just to think about it this way: where you shine the light, then darkness, will find it hard to thrive. And in this case, we can consider corruption as darkness and transparency and accountability as daylight. And what is interesting about these two scenarios that I just mentioned is that the first one, which is about the federal government, the money that was disbursed to the federal government colleges, was actually detected because there was a transparency system in place, which was the Open Treasury portal. So the way the ICPC actually identified that there was a problem was because when they audited the data that was entered into the Open Treasury portal, they realized that there were some leakages and something wasn't right. The second one, however, which is bribes, like that goes, undetected. Every year, every day, people are collecting bribes and receiving bribes on different things. The UN only arrived on that figure because they conducted a survey, not because there was somebody actively tracking it or some other thing. I think what these two scenarios tell us is that there's work to be done. And I'm going to show you why in the next two slides. If you look at this chart, Nigeria's Nigeria's ranking on the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index has not been very good. Over the last few years, we've consistently ranked very low on transparency. That is one data point that shows us the extent of the problem. Since 2005, Nigeria's rating for transparency and accountability in the public sector has not risen above average. Like, we've consistently ranked low on the World Bank's country policy and international assessment grading system. So which tells us that there's definitely a problem. So, I mean, we have to acknowledge that the government is actually taking some steps to try and, fix transparency and accountability in government. We have a couple of initiatives that the government has launched. There is an open government partnership. There is a treasury single account. Most of us are probably familiar with that. The treasury single account is was created so that all government income and everything will flow through one single account. And it's actually been some success. If you look at the whistleblowing policy, which sort of allows people to report cases of fraud or corruption, the EFCC has actually recovered more than $537 billion and $53 million as at May 2008. So there's been some success with some of the government initiatives, but we do know that with some of these things, that implementation is still not as good as it needs to be. So there's definitely work to be done in that area. Just a quick thing about the TSA, for example, before I move to the next slide, is the Minister of Finance, Ms. Zainab Ahmed, says that at least 45 billion naira has been saved monthly because of the treasury single account. So there's been some success, and we have to give the government some credit in that regard, but there's still a lot of work to be done. There's some civil society organizations that are doing some work. There's budget, there's accountability lab, Enough is Enough. Many of us are probably familiar with Enough is Enough from the NSAS protests. But budget, well, some of us might also be familiar with their work. They've taken it upon themselves to open up, government data, especially budgets, how much the government's spending every year. They also have a sister company called Tracker, which sort of monitors government projects. So this there's some work being done, but then there are still problems. There are still problems. Definitely a number of issues. Procurement. Now, one of the major areas of corruption is procurement. The ICPC actually says that 60% of corruption cases in Nigeria happen in procurement. Either people are collecting money to buy stuff and not buying them, or inflating prices and all of those. So there's definitely a problem in procurement. And I think, look, for innovators, this is one of the places where we really need to think deeply. There are other areas, but we really need to think deeply and holistically about how we solve this problem of procurement. There's also low level of citizen participation, poor remuneration of civil service personnel, high cost of political campaigns, yeah, and a number of things. Just something to mention about low level of citizen participation. So what we've noticed is in the last few years, voter turnout has been dropping. I remember the last election that happened in Ethiopia, and we saw pictures of like the lines. There were very, very few people. The last election in Nigeria had a 35% voter turnout, in the last general election. And I think one of the issues is that people just don't trust the government, and I sort of, just before I came on the presentation, I sort of checked, okay, what are some countries where people trust the government, and what is the voter turnout in those countries? Finland is one of those countries where trust for government is quite high, and the voter turnout in their last parliamentary election in 2019 was about 67%, almost double of Nigeria's last voter turnout. So these are some of the issues, and if you're an innovator in the room or someone looking to apply, just some of the things that you need to think about. How, what approach do we take to solve some of these problems? And there are quite a number of steps that we can take. One of the things is checking the cost of political campaigns. We definitely need to check the cost of political campaigns, because most politicians see politics or going to government as an investment. And let's say you spend about $1 million, that's just a number I just pulled out of my head, But let's say you spend that amount, campaigning, trying to get people at the grassroots to vote for you. The expectation is that you're trying to recoup, your investment. So we need to check and track the cost of political campaign so that people don't spend all their money campaigning and are then forced to try and recoup it when they get into government. And we also need to increase support for CSOs, so people like Budgie that are doing great work, enough is enough, because they create solutions that sort of keep government accountable. Many of them that I know even collaborate and work with government. I know about Accountability Lab. We had a chat with the country director for Nigeria, and they actually work with government, like how do we become more accountable, how do we open up the data and government data and all of that. So some of them are doing work with government, training government officials on just different systems that help them build trust with the citizenry. So there's driving greater citizen engagement, building a more efficient personnel system. Look, bottom line is there's a lot of work to do. So there's just one more thing I want to mention before I move to the next slide, is strengthening the judiciary. This is very important, because where the checks and balances, then it's very easy to sort of for people to realize that, if I do this, then there are consequences for my actions. A lot of people feel like They can bend judiciary in their favor. We've seen some politicians do that. So if we strengthen the judiciary, then we'll realize that a lot of these problems, when it comes to accountability and transparency, we go away. So how can tech and innovation help? Like I mentioned when I was talking about the problems, increasing transparency in procurement is very, very crucial. And one of the ideas that any of the CSOs or entrepreneurs that are here can implement is a risk indicator system. And what our system does is sort of track, okay, what are some procurement entries that are at the risk of being fraudulent. There's a similar solution in Hungary. It's called the Red Flags Project, where it has a risk indicator monitor that tracks and gives a warning if it detects that there's a possibility of the procurement being fraudulent. So that's one thing that tech and innovation can do. Another thing is improving the judicial system. I've mentioned that there are different ideas that CSOs and entrepreneurs can explore. Again, these things are not, we're not saying this is what should be done, and I do know that the Ventures Platform team will speak more to that, but we're saying there are some possible ideas that you can look at and implement. And one example under improving the judicial system is in Guatemala. So there's a project set up by CSOs which monitors the selection of the judiciary, whether it's a general prosecutor or the general public defender and senior judicial officials. The platform publicizes information about candidates for these positions and allows for proper checks and scrutiny of the candidates. So, the public can see, who and who is going to become our general prosecutor, and anyone can probably even report, if this person has a potential to be fraudulent, or in the past, if they've had fraud, or they have a history of fraud. Moving on quickly is, again, monitoring the cost of political campaigns. We cannot overemphasize this. In Argentina, there's a platform that in English is called Money and Politics. Basically, the platform helps to monitor data and political financing. It offers information on national election as far back as 2007. We need to make political campaigns less opaque in Nigeria. We need to know how much politicians are spending, because one, you can detect where this person get this money from, and secondly, you can track, if whether they're going to look to try and recoup, their investment when they get in. Because look, if the cost of political campaign is too high, then people will have no choice but to be under pressure to try and recoup their investment when they get into government. Sometimes some politicians take loans, to support their political ambitions. Moving on quickly, finally, promoting citizen participation. In Asia, Myanmar, there's something called Fifth Estate, and then it's a phone application where people can search for members of parliament by name, by committee, who they are and all of that, and get their details. I know such information is not exactly public knowledge. We've seen people circulating the numbers of House of Assembly members on social media, but that's not just sort of the thing that we need. We need to know, people don't even know who their local government chairman is. So how do they engage, in a meaningful way with them? So these are the things that we need to look at when building innovative solutions to some of these problems. So here's a few things to note. Yes, we've mentioned tech, as a possible enabler for some of these things in terms of bringing the solution to life, but tech alone cannot solve all these problems. Like tech is an enabler, so we need to put this in mind, and this is for the entrepreneurs or CSOs in the room. You need to keep this in mind when building solution. Another thing is think about the full innovation spectrum, and this sort of ties into the first point. Like there's some places where tech cannot actually be the way to go, but there are other innovative solutions that we can build, areas where there are no internet connections, areas where people can only use USSD, areas where where people cannot engage meaningfully with technology or don't have access to the internet. Then you need to think about the full innovation spectrum and different solutions. The point is, let's not get stuck on building internet solutions and and strictly building technology solutions in the full sense of the word. So partnerships are key. You cannot build anything if you don't partner with CSOs or other organizations that are working in the space. So you need to work with people, work with organizations like Ventures Platform, work with Budget and the other people that already have solutions that they're working on in the space. There's a lot of experience that you can glean and knowledge that you can glean from them. Finally, dialogues are very important. Look, many people build solutions in civic tech and they try to shut out the government, but like I said, we have people who know how to work with government. So we need to think about how do we engage government meaningfully. If you engage the right people in government, I can tell you that you're going to get meaningful, make meaningful progress. So dialogues are important. Let's not shut out government. Let's try to engage meaningfully with them on the things that we agree with them on. We might not agree on everything, but government is very, very important in terms of building civic tech solutions. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish all the entrepreneurs and CSO success with their applications.
Thank you very much, Larry, for that presentation. So I think you really shared some important highlights, and we have the full report. The presentation that Larry just shared is an excerpt of full reports that people can have access to, and we'll share the link again on the comment section so people can have access to it and read more and understand more. So we're going to move now to the round table conversation. We're going to just engage all the panelists that are here currently to just shed more light on the presentation. So if I'm going to ask two questions. So the first one is just comments on challenges. So the challenges as explained in the presentation, and other challenges you think that the presentation didn't capture that you think it's important for the innovators in the room to bear in mind as they think through their solution. So let's start with the challenges surrounding accountability, the challenges surrounding transparency, the challenges surrounding public service delivery within the context of emergencies. So COVID-19 or emergencies that have happened in the past, whether it's a flood or Ebola, right? So we're looking at emergencies. Of course, COVID-19 is the one that's the main issue right now. So what are the deep challenges that we need to bear in mind as we think about solutions? I'll start with Mr. Kingsley Ngene to shed more light on the challenges, and we'll just go around. I'll call all the panelists one after the other. But let's start with Mr. Ngene. You have the floor.
Yeah, I listened to him closely, and the area I can talk about is this poor remuneration to civil servants, civil service personnel. He seriously highlighted on increasing transparency in procurement, especially in doing government business. For me here, I will just say that definitely we will always continue to encounter problem in service delivery. If civil service remuneration is seriously on the low ebb as it is presently in the service, the civil servants, or do I say generally public servants, a very lot of them, what they call remuneration has nothing to do with taking care of them. And when you find yourself in a situation where you are in charge of handling some of these procurement processes or doing this government business, and at the end of the day, you discover that some of this arrangement in carrying out these procurement processes are on your hand, and you see millions of naira going into the hands of contractors and the rest of them. There is this tendency, because you have your children going to school, you cannot pay them, you have your house rented, you cannot handle them, you have other several bills that you need to take. But because you cannot have there's no fund, you don't have this money to attend to some of these issues within and around you. You see such people handling these procurement processes, as he highlighted in his presentation. Handling it will be difficult. Those people can always compromise. Because if a contractor comes to say, okay, let me give him 100,000. You remember this 100,000 can take care of your children's school fees. As a result of that, such people are susceptible to compromise themselves in such a situation. So this is area I think something needs to be done. Public servant or civil servant that are not well remunerated, government needs to look at this area and see what to be done. And until this is done, I will assure you, because the same civil servant are the people handling, the public servant are the same set of people that are handling procurement processes he talked about. The same set of people are the people that are saying that they're having issues, and this kind of money are passing through them. There's this tendency of them going the tendency of them falling victim of what we are talking about. That needs to be addressed. Then finally, talk about government, engaging the government in dialogues. It is important people get closer to see what government is doing. It is not important sitting outside there and think what you are doing or what you are saying or what you are thinking is exactly what is going on. A lot of people, I have had opportunity to see people who put out some kind of proposal, who come up with letters, making some kind of request. And such request you are asking has nothing to do with the area you are asking, the organization or the agency you are asking for that request. People need to get closer and find out what exactly is the situation of things. And that will help you that will guide you in any request you want to make. It is not sufficient sitting down somewhere and think what government is doing is wrong or right. Until you get closer, you will not understand what government is doing. And you can't just sit in one place and think what you are saying or what you are doing is right. That is why I seriously buying into that statement of engaging government in dialogue. Get closer, find out what government is doing, and it will be guided even to see where and how much you can contribute to whatever thing the government is doing or government is trying to do. That's just my little contribution. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you very much for that concise and insightful contribution. First was well-enumerated numeration for civil servants. So what this tends to suggest might be that the solutions in the meantime might have to work irrespective of civil servants so that it's more effective, pending when civil servants have more incentive to do their jobs. So one thing that the innovators will need to take from here is there's this challenge of the solutions relying on civil servants. So it might be that the solutions have to work irrespective of civil servants in the meantime. And your point on understanding what government is doing is also very important, because as we build solutions, we need to make sure that it aligns with we factored in government tendencies as it affects the solutions. So let's go to our next panelist. We're talking about challenges as presented in the presentation and other challenges you think are important to be highlighted. I'll call on Mrs. Josephine Alabi from Kin and Care Initiative. Your comments on challenges affecting public service delivery during emergencies.
Thanks so much for this. Thank you so much for this wonderful event on webinar. And I would say it's actually really on point that we are having this discussion at this time. You know, COVID-19 especially took us unaware. People were not really prepared. But looking at the topic that we're talking about, issue of transparency and accountability, is actually very crucial. For instance, as a CSO, some of those things that we actually look at, you know, there's need for needs assessment of the people before you can say this is what you want to provide for the people. Then again, how do you monitor and evaluate what was said to have been given? And again, the use of ICT is very crucial. Okay, let me come down by giving some findings sometimes last year. You know, some persons were actually gathered during the COVID-19 when they are not supposed to gather, just because they want to give them money. Why is it that they cannot just transfer the money? Use of ICT, you have their bank details for goodness sake, and then transfer to their account so that we can cut down all these infections and everything. You understand? So those things we actually saw. You see people gathered together, clustered, and then you are giving them money by hand. And we are trying to talk about wash your hands.
Has access to, not everybody has bank accounts. So how do you respond to that?
Yeah. You work in a group, and there's a way that, and that's why I talk about monitoring and evaluation. They can be clustered together as cooperative, whereby when you give them, it's just to send someone, a government person, or to actually monitor, to actually see that it gets to the final person. So we actually saw a whole lot of things, and then that's why I said this meeting is really so crucial. And then the issue of like giving palliatives also. You know, some of the findings they the people sharing it didn't even give set of people. It's for if you are not part of them, then you are not getting it. So, you know, there's a whole lot of, then that means it did not really work out to what we really want. You understand? It should be given to everybody. Don't look at faces. Don't look at ethnicity. Don't look at the religion of the person, but everybody, house to house. That's what it's supposed to. But people were gathered together. So that boils down to what the government actually wants to do is not what you gather people, give them food. House to house is what it's supposed to be. Because we monitored, and when we were also part of the process to even share to the people. So in fact, I'm so happy to be part of this. So there's a need, use of ICT, get the right people to work with, and the proper monitoring and evaluation, need for assessment. What people really need, is it what they are getting? Some need money. Are you giving them to just boost up their businesses, especially the SMEs? Are they getting it? And is it that you promise to give them 20,000, then they snap picture with 20,000, and then you now go behind and collect 18,000 from them and left them with 2,000 each? So how do we sort of like, so it's all about transparency, accountability, and some other things. Thank you. So that's what I want to contribute.
Thank you very much for your contribution, ma'am. And you highlighted the need for innovation and tech to help ensure needs assessment, effective needs assessment. Yes. So how do we know what people actually need during the emergencies? And also tech enables us to monitor the people that have been given, you know, relief packages and those that haven't. Technology that ensures that the delivery gets to everyone, whether you're in urban or rural. especially the hard to reach areas. So thank you for that contribution. I'm going to move now to the next person. I don't know if Mr. Kolawole, okay, I think he's left. I'm going to move on to Mr. Joshua Olufemi from Data Fight.
Okay. Good morning. I don't have any contribution.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Alkali Kano, you can make your contributions now. We're taking comments on the challenges affecting effective service delivery during emergencies.
Okay, so thank you for having me. Thank you for this great conversation. And COVID-19 actually is a kind of emergency that we have never seen in our lifetime. And it has tested, the capability of our systems and even our governance structure. It both tested our strengths and weakness. And to be fair to COVID itself, I think it has given us enough notice for us to, to prepare and make sure that we have emergency plan. As you remember, it started in China way around December, January. So then expert has projected that it's going to be a pandemic that is going to, spread all around the world. But actually, in terms of preparation and putting contingency plans, in Nigeria, we didn't do much. And that is why we had a serious problem in terms of service delivery, more especially around our health sector. But as time goes during the pandemic, I think our government, they have, stepped forward in terms of providing some of these palliative and, trying to inject some economic stimulus into our system, even though they don't have much in terms of putting accountability mechanism. As you can see in a number of states, the palliative that are supposed to be given to people and the other economic stimulus that will support small business, actually in that aspect, we didn't do what we were expected to do. So I think on the way forward, we need to have a good system that will make sure that the delivery of this kind of intervention during emergency are well structured with an inclusive mechanism in place, so that whoever is responsible for doing this and that, they have a kind of structure that will make sure they deliver on their responsibilities, and people have the capacity to checkmate them to know that whether these people are doing what they are expected to do or not. And the government also need to have this kind of coordination with state, because the state at some point, they don't have anything to offer at some point. I am from Kano. During that pandemic, the peak time of the COVID-19, in Kano, we don't have places for testing. Even the service delivery, you have service providers that are willing to come forward, and engage in terms of providing the support they can give to ordinary people, more especially those in need. But at that time, we don't have testing centers in place, and a number of people were killed by COVID, not on record. Within 2 days, I lost my mother, I lost my uncle, and I lost my father-in-law. And all those people, many people, we know that many people have died as a result of COVID-19, but because we don't have the structure in place to make sure that the service they're supposed to get and the service delivery people, they are supposed to get some support from government to make sure that they have to deliver on that. We have a good data system that will record those kind of, record. So I think on the way forward, government need to do a lot, and we as civil society, we have to also help in terms of supporting them with data generation, and more especially in these days with the technology. I think it will help a lot in promoting this kind of effective in service delivery by getting the right information to the people, to both the users and the providers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alkali Kano. Speaking of CSOs helping government. This brings me to my next and final set of questions. We've identified different loopholes or barriers to effective public service delivery. We've talked about issues around procurement, government adopting even some of these solutions and the corruption surrounding that, corruption around even some of these relief packages being used for other purposes, whether it's political campaign or other private gains. We've talked about state effectiveness. So, okay, say you have the relief packages or the interventions to support people that are at risk. How do we ensure that it gets to everyone at least on a state-by-state basis? So we've talked about all of these issues. Let's talk about solutions now. And a big concern is, before I even talk about the concern, let me say that the solutions, from what we are hearing, they sort of have two legs. The first is solutions that support government effectiveness, right, in actually disbursing whatever package or support, and solutions that help citizens hold government accountable. So help citizens participate and say, oh, I haven't gotten anything here through tech, or we read that this amount was given, what's the update? So we're looking at solutions that directly support government and solutions where citizens have to engage with government themselves directly. So I would like us to now talk about how feasible it is in Nigeria within our context, within our realities, to actually use technology or innovation, right? So technology, whether it's an app or a web platform, or using WhatsApp or Facebook to really engage government and promote accountability, transparency, and effectiveness in public service delivery. Will government respond? What's your experience as CSOs just dealing with government in this light, so that as people are thinking through their ideas, they know the best ways to think through going over these barriers? So I'm going to start again with Mr. Kingsley on your thoughts on the feasibility of these innovative solutions in Nigeria.
Thank you once again for inviting me for second comment. I like the contributions of some of us that have met, that have put across in this wonderful discussion this day. We are talking about a solution, a way forward, and specifically on the ICT end is one of what I want to talk about. Remember the place I work, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, sometimes ago, and somebody observed it in this platform, that money are just being disbursed, people are gathered, put in one place, and cash are being given to them. Yes, that really happened. And that was exactly what the ministry inherited. Being a very young ministry at the material time, this COVID-19 challenge was one of the greatest hits that confronted the ministry. While the ministry was struggling to pull itself together, this pandemic came with its challenges, and the ministry was one of those ministries that were in the forefront to see what to be done. What we saw in terms of physical disbursement of cash, it's a conditional cash transfer to beneficiaries that time, and that was what we did. It wasn't really a palliative to Nigerians, as many people may have understood it then. It was an existing program that has been there since 2016, and we inherited that structure. What I want to say, based on some of the contribution coming up now, is that ICT coming in to solve that problem is very, very fundamental. And I want to say to us here that even the ministry is already having an arrangement where this money are not just being handed over to these people, because even physical issuance of cash to citizens also has its own challenges. In most places you discover there's this attack, people being attacked, and this same money are collected. So what I'm saying is that an app has been worked on by the ministry, or do I say by government, to ensure such disbursement is no longer physical. An effort is being made that henceforth, maybe in no distance time, you see that most of the beneficiary of that conditional cash transfer will be seeing themselves receiving their money through their accounts. So this is one of the things. Government is already working towards that more such money is not just safe. Looking the volatile nature of some part of our society today, that ICT application should be evolved to help us do this system, and that's exactly what is going on. So ICT is key, and the government is listening to it, and not just listening to it, also working through using such means to ensure that physical cash disbursements are taken care of. For me, ICT is key. For me, government is working towards that. Thank you.
Before I move, I see there are some hands raised up on the panel. I'll come to you, Mr. Joshua and Mrs. Josephine. But Mr. Kingsley, just one final question for you. Just wanted to know if you were able to use any technology or innovation platform during this crisis. Did you guys adopt any technology platform as a way to improve your emergency response?
Well, just like I said, as new as the ministry was, the ministry was just building, and structures for proper takeoff was in place, was what was going on. And the next other thing we had is this pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. And I told you that most of the things that most of the palliative or intervention we engaged during this period were inherited from the previous regime, because most of those things were transferred to the ministry. While we are settling down into understanding what it's all about, this thing intervene. But we can't keep quiet, because we need to do something to Nigerian populace. And as I told you, it was what we inherited. So there wasn't any technology platform for us to engage, especially in the disbursement of the cash. And again, even the palliative that were moved all over the country at that material time, is still the same issue. What you are being taken unaware while you are trying to settle down. So I will just tell you that that's why I said that an app has been, they are working on an app that will henceforth be addressing some of this. So basically, there was no specific technology platform I can tell you that was used at that material time, because we have not even settled down to start talking about even the structure of the ministry to properly sit down before this thing come up. But I'm assuring you that a lot of things is going on in the ministry in regard to your question. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for that. It's good to see that there's interest in exploring innovation to improve emergency response. Please feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A section. After I take Mr. Joshua and Mrs. Josephine, I'll open the floor to attendees to ask questions. All right, Mr. Joshua Lufemi, you can unmute and just make your comments. I can see that your hand is raised. So you need to unmute because we cannot hear you. Okay,
thank you so much for the opportunity and for setting up this platform or initiative. I just want to make some comments regarding the question you raised about reaching out to government as CSOs and what ways to go about this. Essentially, we have an experience in working with subnational governments, and maybe just in summary to say that some of the challenges with subnational government is that the CSOs have not really, prioritized initiatives for them, and there's a lot of capacity gap at that level. I think that we've concentrated too much in the federal. which, as you would see, even from the comment from Mr. Kingsley, seem to be more proactive or seemingly, to solve its problem. And my intervention will be that civil society needs to come together, to look at what are collaborative ways to engage subnational governments. If you look at it, at every point in time that the federal gives out money or interventions, they still kind of, go down to the state level, and there's little or no accountability at that level. Some of the things that the Cabal colleague mentioned around procurement, transparency, and accountability, those things are kind of huge at the subnational level. And I would just wanted to call attention to that and to say that going subnational, going in a little bit more grassroots will be important for various strategic reasons. And we have an initiative we're exploring to see, what ways to even open up at a broader socioeconomic level the data that's collected or supposed to be collected at the state level, working with, the Ministry of Economic and Financial Planning at state level, and even their Bureau statistics. We had the breakthrough with one of the states. We hope that in 2021, we'll be able to have more breakthroughs, say 4 or 5 more states in the year. And we're looking for civil society who probably work at state level. I see one of my colleagues from Kano here. I know a lot of colleagues also from Lagos, to see how, people that are at the state level can collaborate with some of us that are coming with these civic technology tools to work. And then the second contribution that I have is probably to Mr. Kingsley and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. And the question is, how much open is the ministry to interventions from civil society or civic technology-based, CSOs in the country, to look at ways to, support them with technology or even data, support, because we are very keen in doing that. The news reported to us, I'm rounding up, sorry, that about 1 million households in Nigeria, data on 1 million households in Nigeria have been collected, and that is what is driving the palliative that have been shared, or whether financial or material. And we will be curious to see if such data could be made available to provide more interventions, civic technology interventions, not just for palliative, but for other important economic, socioeconomic development of those households. And just curious how much of openness the ministry has to such interventions. Are their doors always open? This kind of technology app that they said they are developing, should they be putting a lot of money into it if they have civic tech organizations, some of which are in the room, to support and provide those things for them, in almost zero cost to them. That's just my contribution.
All right, Mr. Kingsley, I don't know if you want to respond, but I know you sort of already talked about it in your, when you were making your comments. So I don't know if you want to respond to Mr. Joshua or...
Well, for me, are you hearing me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I think his submission is also very, very taken into account. And I just want to assure him that a lot of things is happening with the ministry now, because the mandate is broad. The mandate is the type that every Nigeria is looking at the ministry, and we are conscious of that. CSOs, most of them are getting closer. All I will encourage him is to see how much and how far he can come closer and see what is happening with the ministry, and also see where his own organization can be factored into what we are doing. But we are very, very open to both local and international NGOs and the CSOs. We don't have issue. We need the bottom line of all this test is to ensure that we have good service delivery to Nigerians. And how we are going to achieve that, whatever means and ways which can be deployed to achieve this, we are very, very open. All you need is just to get closer to us Just like I was saying the other time, there's need to coming closer to government and see what they're doing. I also hear them out. And that will also help you to appreciate what is going on and even see where and how you can come in to support, because it's an open door kind of policy, especially for the ministry where I work today and the kind of woman I'm working with here today as the minister. We are very, very open. I feel free to come around, ask questions, present whatever thing they have. We are there for everybody because we want to get results. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kingsley. I think he's made it very loud and clear that especially the Ministry for Humanitarian Services is very open to hearing the innovations that and the ideas that come out of the civil society in Nigeria and this project. I would stop and mention very critically that this is Govlab, right? Like Mo said in his presentation, it's a 3-month support programs for gov tech solutions around this theme, and we're encouraging CSOs to apply to be selected to participate in this program. Those that are selected get to learn more and work closely with government to better understand the issues, get support on developing their ideas from start to finish, and working closely with us and our government partners to look at those regulatory barriers and see how that can be mitigated so that the solutions can be adopted. So please, again, applications are already open. If you visit our website or our social media handles, you would see the link. So please, it's for civil society organizations. Actually, those are the target audience and the type of participants who are looking to participate in the program. So please go to govlab.venturesplatform.com to access the application. The application closes February 6th, and all the information that you need is on that website. So I'm going to go back to also the comments that Joshua Olufemi made, very important, and this is actually for the attendees and those seeking to participate in the program, those with innovative ideas to consider as a potential area to work on, issues surrounding effectiveness of accountability and transparency and service delivery at the state level. Issues around CSO capacity. So is it possible that the solution is around supporting CSOs and building their capacity to carry out their objectives in the states, or just effective citizen participation at the state level? There are 36 states in Nigeria, so it will be interesting to see solutions that improve accountability and transparency in all the states. So we're going to take the last question, the last comment, I beg your pardon, from Mrs. Josephine Alabi. Again, one comment on the feasibility of solutions to some of the issues that have been raised. So Mrs. Josephine, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to go straight to the point. My own way forward is that synergy building is very crucial. Partnership, advocacy where necessary, collaborations. Once we have those, etc., once we have those in mind, then we can actually work together. Yeah, it's possible that technology could actually give us the way out, because with COVID-19, remember, 6 meters apart, you need to stay away, and then the use of webinar where necessary, innovations, for instance, maybe you are giving something to some group of people and then they are sitting apart. If you don't have to be there, you don't have to be there. Then they can set up maybe like, it could be a WhatsApp call, by one of them, and then you can talk to them. It could be some kind of like lower cost innovation. And if you sort of like talk about app, of course, you can, with that app too, you can actually do a whole lot of things based on your own budget. So there are some other innovation platforms that we can actually work with. For instance, you don't need to start your own, but I felt that we have some CSOs, some organizations who are already good in those areas that you can actually collaborate with, partner, and everything. So with that, we can actually look at the issue of the transparency and accountability across. So we're looking at federal, state, and local government. It needs to be from the bottom to the top and top to the bottom. So if we have in those ways, I think we have our best solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Josephine. I think in summary, what I'm going to try and summarize what everyone has said, and what Josephine just sort of hit the nail on the head is there's need for more collaboration if we're going to make this work. So if you're thinking of participating in the program, or building GovTech or innovative solutions for better governance, there's need to better understand the issues. So you need to understand the issues from the government side. You need to understand the issues from the citizen side. We're talking about innovation, whether they're apps or web platforms, or using or leveraging existing platforms. We need to understand how people that don't have access will need to have access. So maybe that's even a policy thrust for the humanitarian ministry to join the efforts in pushing for access to digital infrastructure, and just bridging the whole digital divide that we have in the country. Because if there should be another lockdown, there might still be issues of trying to reach people effectively if we don't decentralize access or leverage technology. So there's need to better understand the issues. There's need to understand the type of innovation that we want to deploy and that's feasible within the Nigerian context. There's need to understand reach at the state level. So how do CSOs better collaborate together, and how feasible can we ensure that at the state level that access is inclusive? So thank you very much for all the contributions from all our panelists. We still have some time. I'm just going to, we have one more. I just saw one hand, Mr. Alkali Kano. If you want to make your comment in 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I just want to give some recommendation, more especially to Ministry of Humanitarian. If they can look at the possibility of using the existing open government partnership at federal level, that is OGP, by using the technology and innovation, thematic area, so that they can provide more feedback in terms of what they are doing to citizens. This is a very good initiative. Federal government have signed into it, and it is more about transparency and accountability. And we have a number of states that are also signatory to that initiative, like Kaduna, Lagos, Enugu, Kano, and the rest, Jigawa State. So I think if they can use the Open Government Partnership Initiative, it will help, in terms of promoting transparency and accountability, and even improving the service delivery in the sector, to make sure that people have first-hand information about how to, benefit from the services and how the government is delivering the services. So this is one contribution that I want to make. And then with regard to the civil society who are working around, technology, I think there is need for national coordination among those NGOs. I really appreciate what Mr. Joshua is doing in terms of providing real-time data regarding, governance and accountability. But it will greatly help if we can have a national coordination of this civil society, so that they can provide like an alternative source of information and data regarding, the government operation and service delivery in this country, so that it can inform, the advocacy capacity of the civil society who are working around, variety of areas in the governance sector. I think it will help if they can have such kind of coordination, and also work hand in hand with government agencies who are providing the services, so that, they can easily spread the information to Nigerians, and Nigerians can also have a means of providing their feedback in terms whether the services are adequate or effective or not, so that it can help the government, to strategize and improve on the service delivery. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alkali. That was very insightful. So just summarizing some of the ideas, we're looking for ideas that border around information sharing, right? So people can see data and, access and know, okay, where more intervention can be provided. There are ideas around civic engagement, how citizens can directly engage government and say we need a particular type of service in this area. There are talks around ideas that strengthen coordination between CSOs. Remember, this is during emergencies, and during emergencies, everybody comes together, right? It's not this is my organization or that's my organization. So solutions and ideas that strengthen or coordinate different efforts happening at the same time. We're looking at ideas that strengthen capacity for civil society and for citizens to effectively engage government, and also solutions that provide direct support to government. Remember, I was saying that solutions could be effective citizen participation type solutions, so information sharing, monitoring, and solutions that directly support government, whether it's helping them better access data or receive information from citizens to provide more targeted interventions. So thank you very much, everyone. We have a question from Mohammed Tijani, and I think I'm going to let Mo respond to this question. It's more targeted towards the program. So he would like to know if the program is flexible to allow remote work / learning, and also what shortcuts in terms of skill sets gained.
All right, thank you, Ada. All right, yeah, so Mohammed, right, the program is a virtual program, okay? So that means that remote, it's going to be completely remote. So wherever you are in Nigeria, you'll be able to actually participate in the program. Now, the skill sets that you'll learn, remember that we normally build, entrepreneurship programs. So we're using the way we help shape entrepreneurs' ideas, right? Help them thinking, as innovators, right? Help them think of innovative ideas. That approach is what we're going to be teaching you to help you shape your ideas, your solution, right? To create, to think outside of the box, right? Out of the box, and so you can actually find an idea that maybe, no one was actually thinking of, or look at the problem in a different light. Right, so yeah, that's the number one thing. So there's going to be design thinking. Sorry, I don't know.
The
time. Right. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So so like we were saying, design thinking. You're going to learn business modeling. So I know with CSOs, it's very, very donor dependent. So you're going to learn how to run like a social enterprise, and also for other fundraising, effectiveness in fundraising. So design human-centered design, understanding all the key players, understanding your beneficiaries and how best to tailor innovative solutions, then creating a business model around those solutions that is sustainable, and also exploring fundraising ideas.
Yeah. So no, I'm not. All right. I just want to add, sorry, we have partners, right? Acumen, for example, right? One of the leading social investors, right? Will be giving us support, right, on helping people shape social ideas. So that's one. We have AWS, right? It's going to provide a lot of credit. These are technical ideas, right? It will have a way to post whatever you feel want to scale. Has to be posted. AWS credit, right? We have another partner that just joined, Message 91. They're also giving credit for any solution that requires SMS, maybe even phone calls. So we have more partners lining up. These are going to help you and there's another question. I think there are questions are loading up now.
I'll just take them. So upon administration of the program, I'm also concerned about government's capacity to decentralize, especially in areas of urban governance and citizen participation. So that's one of the issues that came up during the panel conversation, issues around decentralizing service delivery, and that's really an age-long problem. So the challenge for you is to now think is providing your solutions through government and through states the best way to ensure inclusive service delivery? Would that be the best way? Or would it be better to work with, we're talking about collaboration, right? Would it be better to go through entrepreneurs? Would it be better to go through other CSOs to be able to effectively deliver these services? CSOs also get some type of support to deliver emergency relief. It's not just government. So they'll need to probably consider all the key stakeholders and see other people that might be more reliable to deliver some of the services. So those are some of the things you would have to really think through in the program as you think about your application. I'm going to take the next one from Godfrey Iyama. Says, I'm currently building a solution to tackle some of the problems and challenges mentioned. Should I continue with it or pause it and wait till the training and mentoring event is ended? Just to clarify, this session is for everyone that's applying. We still have to select. So those that are selected are the ones that will benefit from additional mentoring and training in the program. So the session is to help everyone that's applying get a better chance of getting accepted into the program. Obviously, we can't take everyone. So even if you're not selected, we're hoping that the conversations in this session will be helpful for you to continue to build on those brilliant ideas that you have. But to answer your question, it's only those that are selecting, so that will be selected, that will get that mentoring. So please go ahead and finish your application and submit it to be considered to be selected in the program.
Can I just add? But please go ahead and keep building, right? Keep building your solution. Like I said, even if you're not selected, like we want this to spark something in you. So will you do something amazing and be part of the solution? Keep building. Don't stop.
Okay, I think we've taken all the questions. Someone is asking if they could get the recording. Yes, everybody who came would get the recording. We'll have it on our channel on YouTube as well, so you can share with your other colleagues or people in your network who didn't attend, but you think we should submit an application. So go on our YouTube channel, just this platform, and access the video. Okay, my question is based on what the first speaker said from Jerry about the people diverting the fund meant for individuals into private accounts. For example, what happened during COVID, what was perceived that happened during COVID. Some private personnel diverted the fund meant for individuals to take care of their selves during the pandemic. What was the action of government towards those kinds of people? I'm not sure we can answer that question during this session. We'll just start a whole debate that we don't want to deviate from the objective of the conversation. So again, it's good that you understand that these are some of the issues affecting effective service delivery. I'm expecting you to think through these issues and come up with ideas and apply. And when you come into the program, we'll think deeply with you, fine-tune these ideas, provide more support so that these ideas become tangible solutions that can actually be deployed and adopted by either citizens or the government or both.
Yeah, how would you, Jerry, how would you solve this?
Exactly.
That's the question we're sending to you. How would you solve it?
Okay.
And then please, for your answer, just send an application.
Yeah, don't put it in here. Okay. Okay, there are no more questions. I'm just going to give it a minute. There are no more questions. Very good. We're doing well with time, and we're going to round up very early. I just wanted to ask Larry, I don't know if you have any final thoughts. Larry, you made the presentation, so I don't know if there are any final thoughts you wanted to hammer on before we close.
Thank you, Adeze. Nothing much. I've sort of enjoyed the conversation, especially the comments from the different...
We can't hear you. I know you're speaking, but we can't hear you for some weird reason. Is your volume on?
Can you hear me now? Is it better? Hello?
I can hear you perfectly. You may continue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was just saying that...
Larry, we can't hear you and I don't know why.
All right. Okay. Technology. Oh, anyways.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and close. Just 1 second here. Oh, you can hear him?
Oh, okay. So I was saying that I've sort of enjoyed the conversation. Not much to add from my end. I'm just going to re-emphasize what I said, that CSOs and entrepreneurs should take note of, and everyone has sort of talked about it on the panel. And number one is very important to engage government people, like understand where their pain points are, because like I think it was Mr. Kinsley that said you might think you know, but end up realizing that your solution, nobody's going to use it. You don't want to build a solution that nobody will use. Secondly, keep your users in mind. If you're building something for people in northern Nigeria, you have to understand the culture. You have to understand how things, play out there from a technology perspective. And number three, which is important, is think about the whole innovation spectrum. Not everything has been tech. Just keep in mind the full innovation spectrum. And I wish you all the best, and feel free to reach out to Mo or any of the organizers, and also me if you find my email or contact. Yes. Okay. All right. Bye. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Larry. So thank you very much, everyone. We wish you the best of luck as you apply. Thank you to all our panelists for actually taking time out. We're actually going to be working with you more closely when the program starts. So you'll see more of their faces, especially those who will be selected. But we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. Thank you, Larry, for the presentation. Thank you, VPT. Until next time, remember that the application closes February 6th. Please make sure you send in your applications on time. Thank you and have a lovely weekend. Bye.